Now we're going to do our final drive. Lift this out, and we have a speedometer gear here, tapered roller bearings. Okay, these, remember, all tapered roller bearings have preload, so we don't want to mix our shims up. There's going to be a shim underneath a raise. I do want you to take off the ring gear, and then I'm going to want you to I don't want you to really pull the torsion out. This torsion is not serviceable, but what I want you to do is lift the gears up so you can see how they are. If you lift them completely out, it will be like aligning dominoes, or just it'll be an alignment, a nightmare to get it in. You can get it in, and we've done it every year, but just understand, if you pull them completely out and they pop out of their bore, you got to start from scratch, realigning each one so it falls in perfectly. So let's go ahead and take apart the ring gear. So I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to take off all these bolts. 14mm socket, and I'm going to unbolt this in a star pattern, just a little bit better. All right, so I just popped it loose. I had to go get a really good quality Matco chrome socket, because I don't know why this one bolt was over torqued from the factory. So anyways, we got that last bolt out. Okay, so now we can go ahead and flip this upside down, and we should be able to pull this gear out. Let's see. There we go. Perfect. So it's a little stuck on there. So here's our ring gear right here. Stick it over to the side. All right, so here's our torsion. Okay, it's a locking differential. Okay, and it should be able to come apart. Let me see. I got 2 Phillips screwdrivers in there, bolts in there that holds it together. So now I'm gonna go get a impact driver. Okay, so here's my impact driver. It's a Phillips, so make sure I have the right bit in there. Yep, perfect. Put that on. Make sure when I hit it, it's going to go counterclockwise, and it is. And these should not be overly tight. There we go. I just heard it go the opposite way, so I got to reset it. There we go. Move it around to the other side. Didn't quite go. Make sure I can go in the right way. Yep. Get it in there. There we go. So that's our 2 screws that hold the torsion together. 1. 2. And now this should lift up. Let's see. Get a screwdriver. There we go. There we go. Almost there. Perfect. And there's the inside of the torsion. Okay, so you can lift these gears out. If you want to be brave, be brave. But all I really want you to do is understand you're going to have the worm gears. So you're going to have short and long worm gears. Okay, so let's see if I can get them up high enough for you. Okay, so you know what, for the purpose of this video, I know I could get them aligned, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. But this is what a torsion looks like on a Nissan. And Let's get them all the way up. Let's try dumping it over. There we go. And you can see short, long, okay, with a sun, like a sun gear in the middle. So that's exactly the setup there. There's another, these are extensions, so there's another small one up on top if I were to pull it all out. But that's exactly what I want you to do. You could go ahead and try to do it the whole way and realign it, but you could see how it could become, and they're not serviceable, okay? Last thing I want you to do is pull off one bearing. So we're gonna go ahead and do that to finish off this video. So I want everyone to pull one tapered roller bearing off, okay? So you gotta find something that fits this. Sometimes the socket works great. We had alignment problems with the socket. I found this in a hub removal kit for a hub bearing. So it's actually meant for like where the axle shaft goes in, so it's perfect. Fit that on there. This is a puller assembly, so you assemble it. There's two arms that come down. These are removable pins, and then you just put these nuts on. It clamps on. But it's really important we understand that a lot of tapered roller bearings on differentials, usually you're going to damage them. But what's nice is when they give you these little slots for the teeth to go into. So you got to look for that little slot, and that is so you could take a puller and you could get underneath the tapered roller bearing, and you could go ahead and pull the bearing and potentially not damage it. Now, we're doing this for fun or for learning, so I'm not really worried too much if you damage it, but it makes it a problem as far as going back together. All right, so now I need to tighten these side bolts up in a little bit. Get a stronger grip on that bearing. There we go. Just snug, not overly tight. And then that should be enough to and what you're trying to make sure is you're not bending the cage, okay? So let's see if I'm getting underneath there. And look at that right there. I'm not on the notch, I'm on the cage. So I gotta back this off. And I gotta reposition this. So you keep repositioning it until you get it on the race, okay? And so it takes a little finagling, and might have to, it looks like I'm gonna have to move these pins and go to the outer race. So we tightened it down, we recentered it, and let's see what happens. Oh, wrong way. And there's my bearing, okay? So you can see, you gotta get underneath the race. You cannot pull from the cage. If you pull from the cage, it'll just destroy it. The bearings will go everywhere. So that's as far as I want you to go with the differential or the final drive assembly. Is I want you to take apart the torsion, see how it works, see how it looks, and then take off one tapered roller bearing. As far as it go back on, we'll cover that in another video. So now we're going to go press it back on. Okay, I found another adapter in that same hub bearing kit, so it fits the inside the cage perfectly and hits the race. So that is going to make sure I'm pressing on the race, not the cage. And this is a two-stage press, so there's a slow and a fast. So first off, I'm going to do fast, and I want to do down. And that will get this down really fast. I get it really close. Get it really close, and then you line everything up. And then once when it hits, just when it hits, then you're going to switch it to slow. Okay? And let's go out. You hear that grunting. Listen real closely. The grunting is good because it means there's movement, okay? So if it wasn't grunting and my pressure gauge was climbing And my pressure gauge here is kind of a gauge that needs to be replaced. But if the pressure gauge was climbing, then I know I have an alignment problem and I would stop. And I'm down all the way. At least it feels that way. I'm gonna go up and see how we are. All right, so this bombed out. I'm gonna flip it around and go the other way now, because this hit the inner race. So now I'm gonna go fast, get it down. Go slow. And there's that grunt. Excellent. Perfect. Now let's go up. And you'll see it's perfectly on there. All the way down. Okay? So we're good. So I'm not happy with that. I looked underneath after I looked at the top and I see a little air gap. So I had to get another cone. Now this cone is from a ball joint kit. So hopefully this will do it for me. So I'm going to engage that, and I'm going to go slow now, and let's see if that gap disappears. There we go. And yep, and here the grunt. And there we go. There, now I'm down all the way. You can see there's a little taper here. Okay, the little taper needs to be above the bearing, and there's no space underneath it. Okay, we're good. So the adapters that I was grabbing were from a hub tamer, so a front wheel drive service tool, so you can change your hub bearing. It has all kinds of really cool adapters. They're really strong. I also used for that final press, I used pieces from a ball joint kit too. So sometimes you gotta use tools that will work for other purposes. In this case, that helped me get the bearing all the way down. So there you go.